Welcome to the Roundabout Cast. We never figure out the name for the JoJo show.
The freaking you cast.
Uh, no, not quite.
Yes.
Well, the freaking you cast, yes, that's like but we need like a show name. Anyways, we're here to talk about JoJo Leon Chapter 95, which came out yesterday.
God, it's back, baby. It
That was a long time without some JoJos.
was a month. Or,
Two.
well,
We had
2 months.
we had a break. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's true.
And we were at such a good part of this arc. Before we start, just things are pretty ugly out there with that rock disease going around.
hmm
Stay safe, everyone, because unemployment is looking not great right now.
Yeah.
And
Stay at home, play Animal Crossing.
yeah, hopefully you have enough saved up to weather this storm because shit is ugly and the government's in disarray. It's
Yeah.
times like this where I really look forward to entertainment. And I
hmm
hope that talking about this amazing chapter of the best manga can help some of you at home out.
I will, I will reiterate what Willer and I say every fucking month,
Yeah,
which is I think One Piece is the best manga being written at this current day and age. And then JoJolion comes out and continues to one up itself and everything else.
yeah. We always say One Piece is the best manga until the week where JoJo Leon comes out.
It's like
it's
we just forget. And we're like, oh man, okay, JoJolion's out. Let's see what happens. Oh,
and like
oh,
surely
oh!
Araki's gotta slip up. He's been going too strong for too long.
Yeah.
Nope, he just continues to deliver.
Yeah.
So chapter 95, Endless Calamity, Part 1.
So this is the beginning of a new arc, I guess technically, and the end of Dangerous Pursuits.
Yes.
hmm
I believe this is the Bites the Dust. Yeah, which will lead into the final fight, which would be the
Final
Crazy
fight.
Diamond is
Diamond
Unbreakable.
Pursuit.
I
Yeah.
think that's where we're at. Not quite the train. I don't think it's going to be quite that long, but I'm thinking
hmm
like a 5 to 6 chapter part that leads straight into the finale.
Basically half the year, and
Yeah.
then yeah,
We can make it. Everyone at home, we can make it to the end of the JoJo Leon. Stay strong, everybody.
are we gonna see the end of a JoJo part? I don't know.
That's
Not this
true.
year.
This is the first time pretty much anyone in the fan base is going to see the end of a part. Even when I started part 7 wasn't done yet, but by the time I caught up to part 7, we were like
hmm
15 chapters into JoJo Leon. So, it's
Got it.
very rare for one of us to have experienced the end of a part, but we're going to do it. Uh,
Yeah.
to begin this chapter, we pick up right where we left off, where Mitsuba was hit by a calamity and busted a huge hole through the wall that
Yep.
revealed the Beetle Room and the new Rokakaka.
Oh no, the Beatles got out. No.
No beetles were hurt in this chapter, so
That's true.
a
Thank
rocky
God.
character development is pretty good. Norisuke walks in, and it's quite the scene. It's
I.
Tsurugi this chapter, dude. I saw there's so
He's
many
also
good
laughing.
comments. Huh?
It's like a ha 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 ha.
No,
ha,
that's a
or-
panting ha.
Yeah.
Like ha
Ha.
ha. Wah! Like
So I think it's really funny because the first panel is Norisuke opening the door, which is a weird kind of thought because there's just this giant fucking hole in the wall, and so it's
that is funny because the hole actually extends to the hallway
to
as well. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they're not
So
gonna walk through that. Like that's weird.
yeah, that would be weird. It's a funny thought.
It is a funny panel. Uh, Everyone's seeing what happens, and Norisuke
I
sees and hears Yasuho in the toilet.
yeah.
This panel here, where it's very reminiscent of the one last chapter when Mitsuba walks into Jobin and he has to just stand there menacingly, and
hmm
the situation is really tense. It's like a page turn into a very tense situation. They do it again because
So I want to point out in this chapter, there's a ton of 2-page spreads in this chapter.
that's
There's
true. Like
yeah.
basically, aside from the first page so far, every page we've gone to is a 2-page spread.
No, the first page is a 2-page spread, then the second page is a 2-page spread, and then the third page is a 2-page spread, and then finally when we get to the fourth page, it's when it's its own single page.
The first page is not a two-page spread.
I think that it's big enough that it's going across that line.
Uh, Potentially.
Yeah,
The second one, I wouldn't argue with because like those two middle panels are taking so much.
yeah,
Anyways, just a lot of nice wide angled views to show everyone. I
and
guess
everyone look.
that's the reason, right? They're trying to
Yeah,
show how many characters are in this room together,
mhm.
and
And
how this is
also
about to be
everyone
a
looks
family
so good.
conflict.
Everyone looks so good in this chapter.
God,
Like,
the art's been amazing, Jojo Leon.
yeah, the only probably negative is like on this like page, I guess 3 and 4 maybe. Um, Joshu and Daima are kind of like almost unfinished. It looked like pages from a coloring book. The left hand side.
Araki's done that since part 7, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does this pretty often when someone's close to the camera. They're in low detail.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, if you go back, maybe it's touched up in the volumes, but there's
Because
actually
I
a
read I
good
read
shot.
all of Steel Ball Run in colored,
That must
so
be
it's
weird.
probably I bet that probably it's just they added more shaders into the color
Interesting,
when they
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that must be it. Um,
Hmm.
so I think it's interesting that Norisuke recognizes Paisley Park. Like, I think it's just interesting because it's good writing. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
sometimes JoJo dialogue will skirt around some things, but it's like, no, that's Yasuho's stand.
yeah.
She's
This,
been my ally. Like, I don't even know if you saw the stand on screen, but I kind of
yeah,
like it that the implication here is like off screen. He's like, oh, by the way, my stand is Paisley Park.
yeah. That's another thing about this chapter is like I feel like in JoJo's there's a lot of like things that happen outside of society's norms that we kind of just forget about and don't acknowledge
Yeah,
people.
like the
And
police, which
yeah,
is also a thing in this part.
yeah. So JoJo's been really good in grounding itself in that kind of like community setting.
It's so grounded. The stands are so nerfed too, and for the better. Like
Hmm.
the stands power levels, for the most part, this might be the weakest like power level.
Yeah,
Um,
especially compared to like uh um
Compared to
last
6, I
part.
think. Well, 7
Yeah,
was also pretty weak. Like you have wired that lets you hook things from leaves, and you got Echoes Act 3 again.
but you're saying they're weak, but we have literally a gun that can shoot through space and time, and a
Okay,
person
those
that
are like the end game. I'm talking about like
the main villain
someone's
stand.
stand in this part is to steal memories and put them into chess pieces. Like, okay, that's pretty normal.
Yeah,
And then
but
like Speed King is like a pretty grounded, normal like weak
speaking of
stand.
all of every stand we've seen has been the most offensive. I think. Like,
Speaking,
yeah,
yeah, I guess so. I guess there's
because
Born This
Ocho
Way a little bit, but
a
yeah,
little bit, yeah.
Dubiwa, yeah.
Jubiwa, yeah.
But you're right. I just think
God,
it's interesting.
when,
It's helping ground the part in character,
mhm,
and strategic fights as
yeah.
opposed to flashiness, which I
In
think
fact,
is very interesting.
I think the only absurdly powerful stand we've seen this chapter or this part
Is Endless Calamity,
is,
which is what I'll call
or
it.
yeah, Endless Calamity. Ozone Baby, I think, is another really strong one.
Yeah, but
And,
needs setup. Needs a good amount
yeah,
of setup, so it's
yeah,
got
it
that
does this
going.
stuff. And Gorilla, Urban Gorilla, and that whole thing with
Yeah,
the little like the
instant
more
instant kill little viruses.
basically just Fugo,
Yeah, but cool.
uh, but everything else like it's just been really good. I feel and
Um,
grounded. Like,
so Jobin is getting accosted by Norisuke here, and
yeah,
Jobin gives a nice speech about the right path. There's no choice; it will cure Tsurugi's illness as well. And I like how Norisuke almost goes with it. It's kind of weird. I would have to reread the dialogue here. Because do you get the sense that at some point he was willing to kill Yasuo? Because I didn't, but I don't know if he explicitly says that.
I think I don't. I think it was like I don't know. I I don't think like explicitly kill Yasuo, but to go along with Jobin and trying to cover something up. I think that's as far as he was willing to go. Um, but like that would seem crazy for Norisuke to like just jump at the fact like, all right, let's kill Yasuo. But that's like the whole point here is that he's basically the opposite of Mitsuba in this situation. Where
Yeah.
Mitsuba, yeah, I'm gonna close the toilet now. Whereas Norosuke
I'm gonna
is,
say he was just calling a bluff. I don't
yeah,
believe Fruit Dad would ever like, because the whole reason why Jobin has to kill him later this chapter is because Fruit Dad does not stand for this kind of crime. Think
yeah,
back to Mother and Child, how he exiles Kato from the family for what she did.
hmm
I think that that's a really important character beat as to why things play out this chapter. So I think
yeah,
here he's like, okay, you have to prove to me that this is the right path, knowing that it's not going to be the right path. Like
yeah,
there's no way. So he calls out his stand, which in itself shows this kind of idea because he never shows his stand to his family because the stand's like your asshole. Don't show it to
yeah,
people unless they want to.
hmm
And it's consensual. But aside from that, the fact that he's willing to bring it up to call the bluff, I think shows his conviction. And he's like, I know this plant and what you did to get your hands on it and what you're doing with it right now are not the right
Well,
path.
but before we get to there, we like Joe, like Norosuke has this great speech where like he's like, I understand that I'm old fashioned and we've been very traditional, and I am like I've been very much against this whole new technology and new era and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm willing to go with it, but it has to be like like
The right way.
the right way and ethical. Like it can't just be like there has to be. It's not. It's kind of goes back to like the Valentine thing, where like does the ends justify the means? With like Valentine killing all those people to get the corpus parts, to, like save the United States government, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We now have Jobin like I'm going to do whatever it is to save my family,
Mm-hmm.
and but Jobin is a lot more kind of Jobin's you can really get behind because like yeah I get it
Yeah.
like literally trying to save his son.
We can save that for a little bit later, but I think
Yeah.
it's also interesting here because what was I going to say? Jobin is implying that the fruit can cure the curse. And I think that's
Right.
interesting. He's not just trying to cure Sarugi. He thinks this fruit can
hmm
fully break that genealogy, that curse that the Higashikata family has.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't know too much about the fruit because the one time we've seen the Nero Kakakaka, it wasn't ripe. I don't believe it was like
Right.
they had to get it a little early.
Yeah.
And what we've seen it do is equivalent exchange between two people, so it's not the sacrificial equivalent exchange. So maybe the idea is that he's gonna have to transfer the curse to another family, but then it's out of their family bloodline.
Yeah.
Or this idea that the fruit has properties even beyond what we've seen when they're ripened. It could just be a right now a magic fruit that does more than
Well,
we know it does.
it's it's so weird because it's like the idea is I don't know. It's a weird concept of a curse because like essentially you have basically the person before you has to like take the burden of you dying away from you.
It's some Johnny Act 4 Jesus shit, so it is
Yeah.
weird. It's this whole story is working on a magic
Because like,
curse.
'cause, like even if he like takes the fruit from like has to eat it and like transfers it to someone else, that doesn't necessarily mean that gets rid of it. Because like if that was the case, then like why does it keep happening to every other person down the line? Does that make sense?
Uh
But unless
let me
like
think about that for a second because the way it's worked in the past is that the patriarch of the family sacrifices themselves so the oldest born can live.
hmm
And that was broken with Jobin. But then
yeah,
Tsurugi still has it.
right,
So it's like, yeah, they put the curse onto the granddad, for example, but then the son of the person who was saved will still have it. So yeah,
right, yeah. So like, and then the other thing is like, what if him like transferring it to someone else made the curse worse? Like because Tsurugi isn't just turning into a rock; he's freaking out here
yeah,
with his stand.
yeah, his stand's just it's like a weird merging of a stand and a human.
Because granted we're working with Araki rather than Oda.
Yeah.
So like because when we first see this the thing happening, it affects Johnny like it affects everyone else and turns him into stone,
Mhm.
essentially.
Mhm.
So like you can't say that the stand is what's causing it to do this. it seems to have almost evolved. But
We'll
we
see
won't
how it
know.
goes.
Yeah.
It could be something like metaphorical, like
Yeah.
this part is pretty grounded, but this curse is pretty religious,
Yeah.
um, which is interesting, and I'm here for it. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
So we see King Nothing again for the first time in a long time.
I think since the fruit parlor.
Yeah, since it was introduced basically in the
Yeah.
I Am a Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think we saw it one more time.
And we saw in the fruit parlor when Jobin first arrives because that's how Josuke knows that he needs to follow Jobin because King Nothing attaches to him because he has the scent of Shaka on him or the people on him.
Yeah, yeah. I love King Nothing. The name and the design are top 5 stand material for me.
It's so cool.
And it just basically pulls a Moody Blues here, which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it play out where he turns into Ojiro, and I was freaking out because it's like, oh my god, Ojiro is so important to JoJolion.
Yeah.
Even post mortem, Ojiro is like, I mattered, bitch. We all mattered.
So, like, here's the great thing about this is that Araki, whether he did it on purpose or not, showed how different Josuke and Jobin is based off that first arc of this entire series. Because Josuke fights Ojiro because Ojiro tries to screw with him and does all this kind of different stuff.
It's way more malicious even what Ojiro does to Josuke than Jobin.
Yeah. And then Josuke's like, all right, I beat you. You can leave. I'm not going to kill you.
And yeah, but some people would disagree with you because they're pushing the narrative of crazy psycho Josuke.
True.
Because he blew up Damo's head, who super deserved it. Are you kidding me?
Who's also a rock person. That's the other thing.
Which are not humans. No, but the thing with Damo is he like Josuke had such a grudge.
Well, it was not a grudge. It was a straight up like, I know if I let you leave now, if I let you leave, you are going to just come back and kill us. And he was straight up going to kill everyone in that family immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Ojiro like left them. He didn't try to finish them off. He was like, all right, I got my thing. I'm going to leave now. And he left.
Remember when Damo cut off Norisuke's arm?
Yeah.
And the next chapter it was back. Yeah, with the dollar bill, with the yen bill. Is this how we've seen King Nothing before, doing Moody Blue stuff? It's been so long.
Yeah, we saw him make footprints in
That's so cool.
I think the more recent the scent, the stronger it is.
Yeah.
Trying to track someone and the scent wasn't as strong, so it was only
it's able to replay that scene, and as it replays it, it becomes more and more defined. And man, this page where it's walking out of the window and Jobin's face here is so good.
God, yeah.
The anticipation, because he knows before we know what's about to happen. But this next page is one of the best pages Araki has ever drawn.
It's so good.
It's so hot.
It's like a big villain reveal basically at this point. This might be thumbnail worthy. I have permission to use the colored cover page, but this page is so amazing to me because it's a page where it's Jobin in the middle. He's all silhouetted, but what's really happening here is the exact moment where Jobin realizes that he's going to have to kill his father. Well, it's not just that. It's the exact moment where the
facade also falls for Jobin. The truth of no one knows. Tsurugi has his suspicions, so that he even worked with Josuke to confirm them. But no one knows that Jobin is a criminal, an organized crime.
Everyone realizes the Golden Boy isn't as golden as everyone thinks.
Yeah, everyone loves him.
Joshua praises him and everything, and he's so excited to see him, and he wants his affirmation. And we realize now that it's everyone realizes oh my god, Jobin killed this person. This person came into our house and he killed him, and over this plan. It's such a good. It's great because we have that intermission where we're having dangerous pursuits and we have this Ojiro chapter. What the fuck is going on here? And
I mean, I was down for it always. I'm always JoJo never disappoints, but it's even better now, man. It was the downfall of Jobin, more so the downfall of Norisuke, unfortunately.
It's so good.
as all this drama is happening, Sarugi's just fucking dying, man.
You know,
Do you think there's a possibility that Sarugi used his illusion powers, which are now just straight up illusions, as far as we understand it, to fake this next scene? It's something I haven't seen
no,
anyone bring up. I hope not. I
no,
think
I
it's
don't.
too good.
I think, yeah,
Don't pull a Pell on me. Like this death is
yeah.
too good and
I,
impactful.
I think it's just like, well, also Sururi is just so out of like his mind, and he literally can't do anything at this point. He's straight up like dying in his mother's arms.
Yeah. Mitsuba is a really interesting character this chapter too, but we'll talk more about her at the end too because it ends on her. Uh,
Yeah,
as Norisuke follows the King Nothing out, he also sees Yasuo dying outside,
yeah,
and this is like the proof that this is not the correct path. My son has murdered two people. He's currently murdering someone else. He's trying to get me in on it, and this is not who Norisuke is. He's a good person. Again, bringing back to mother and child, like we have precedents of him not accepting these kinds of resolutions.
yeah.
Uh, and he turns around, and oh my god, these pages are so good. I can't believe this is real.
And it's Speed King's hand that's reaching out for Jobin, and
Yeah.
not. I mean, for Norisuke, not Jobin's. And someone pointed out on the forums, but
I
that
was trying to think of that, but
it,
Jobin is reaching out.
it's well, yeah, he is reaching out, but it's also like the stand hand over his hand.
Yeah, I mean, they're both doing it.
Yeah, but like someone mentioned that the Speed King's hands looked like Killer Queen's hands with the bandages and everything wrapped
Ooh,
around.
yeah.
Uh,
Someone pointed out in one of the comments in the chapter that they were like, Jobin isn't the one reaching out. He's crying, but it's Speed King touching. But that's not quite true because they're both touching.
yeah.
The fact though the fact that Jobin is crying here, I think, is what solidified him as my favorite JoJo character. I hot alert, keyword
Yeah.
the throne in announcement.
Yeah.
I think Jobin's my favorite character. He just works for me so well. And I've seen people be like, he's trying to cure his family, but he's killing his dad to do it, who was willing to sacrifice himself for Tsurugi anyways. But it's more than that. It's this idea that they have to succeed and this fruit can cure them for indefinitely.
Yeah.
He's making a
that-
huge sacrifice right now for the sake of the future of his family.
And the tragic thing is that he's not even sure that it will actually cure them indefinitely. He's just gambling on the fact that it will.
Well,
You know?
does he know? I don't know at that point.
But that's the thing, does he? I don't think he really truly knows.
That's the thing with part 8 right now, is that I feel like the characters are really certain of what the new Rokakakaka can do, but I can't tell if it's like if it's a author way to tell us like, no, this is what's happening and we're not sure how the characters know, or if they're all gambling. I can't quite tell yet.
Damn Rocky.
And if this is a gamble and he kills his dad over a gamble, it's like, Jesus, that's less sympathetic at that point.
The thing is, like, we have just of Jobin before how like he feels like his dad is like weighing the family down and its progression.
Mm-hmm.
How it could be so much more if it just try to be more modern and try to progress and try to do
Yeah.
be less traditional. And now he's literally killing basically the symbol of the idea of having that old style and tradition.
Yeah.
He's literally killing the fruit tree, as I've mentioned with his hair.
Oh, yeah. He's killing the Higashikato way here, basically.
Yeah.
And he takes charge very quickly. Man, these panels where he's laying down and he has his father in his arms and he's crying. This is so good. And I do feel sympathetic towards him because I do think he's doing it for the future, while Norisuke is just taking it one step at a time, just in the present. Jobin believes he's curing the family, but he's going about it the wrong way. And I feel like we've built up to this moment really well. Like, there's been so many arcs with Norisuke, there's been so many arcs with Jobin. Even in between all the fighting, we get to see these ideals lead up to this moment.
And what's crazy is like this whole arc or like saga or whatever you want to call it started with Norisuke like head on the ground, and we're just like, how did this happen? Did a fight happen? Like what? happened, and it just was a straight up like Speed King just gave him an aneurysm basically and killed
Yeah.
him. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
and you know what? People were mentioning his arm comes off here because he touches the heat point and it transfers to his arm and it just boils off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
Yeah, you can see his hand like popping off here with Jobin when he's like crying and holding him.
This makes me want to reread all of JoJo Leon just to like. I love all these characters so much. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I can't. I'm actually really excited for whenever I pull the trigger and do a reread. It's
Yeah.
gonna be really exciting.
That's one thing about Jolion. We've mentioned it before, but the fact that the character cast is so small and intimate,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it just makes every single interaction so much more weighty and feels so much more impactful. Like
Shit,
compared to like,
man. 2 chapters ago, you contrast this to Josuke and Holly. Oh man.
yeah,
Like,
oh,
because I'm watching. Sorry to interrupt. What were you saying? I'll go over this in a second.
sorry, I was listening to you now.
'Cause I was just gonna say that like watching
Yeah.
Jobin cry this intensely reminds me of Josuke crying
Oh
as
yeah,
intensely as he did with Holly, and it's like uh, they're both they both have these connections to their parents. This arc has a lot of parental storytelling, and Jobin had to kill his, and Josuke feels like he's losing his, and
Mhm.
they're all fighting for their family in some way and their identities.
Yeah, and like it's weird because Josuke is fighting for the above the parental tree, like the people that came before him.
And Jobin's fighting for below.
Yeah, for everyone afterwards.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
and you could also say that it's a battle of identities because Josuke is the whole part has had a theme of Josuke's identity, but Joshu is fighting his identity as a Higashikata and siding with
Jobin?
yeah, Jobin. Sorry, did I say Joshu?
Yeah.
Well, that will come later. But Jobin is
Yeah.
fighting this identity as a Higashikata versus what Kato raised him to be,
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of been teetering on this line, never fully pulling that trigger until now, and where he's fully picked a side. Which, speaking
Yeah.
of Kato, now she has freedom to come back into the story, because the whole reason she couldn't really interact with the kids is because Norosuke shoot her away.
Yeah. God, this 2-page spread of like them like trying to like get to Norisuke and then speaking just comes up and stops.
Uppercut. That's
Yeah.
so hot, and then he's just like, "Wah!"
Well,
He has this intense
terrifying.
karate pose.
Well, I don't think it's not even karate. It's almost like a dark version of Jotaro, where like he's pointing outwards.
It reminds me a lot of how Soft and Wet kind of holds his arm out with the bubbles around it pretty often too.
Yeah,
But it's this huge thread of it's like this is the moment where now Jobin is still grieving.
mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe this is the good symbolism moment actually because
Yeah. Jobin's grieving, but his stand is standing up and like trying to do what needs to get done.
yeah, like Jobin is handling his emotional grief, but his stand is outwardly showing his full intent to continue down this path. That's really good. I saw a comment point out that that's not something you see every day in JoJo's with that kind of stand symbolism,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love. And Jobin takes over now. No more time for crying. He hides the body. The family's freaking out.
Well, he's like he's tells him to shut up, and we're his Higashikata family, and we're doing this. Like he just straight up like takes over control like a dictator, kicking down the palace doors.
Yeah, and
Like
they all look up to him. None of their stands are really good at fighting him. Like maybe
I don't
Hato,
know,
if she,
Nut King Call might be the only stand that could potentially stand up to him.
and even then,
Yeah, even then,
the emotional like Joshu doesn't have it in him to fight his brother,
Mm-mm.
and that's what really makes this tragic. Even Kato, I didn't notice the first time. She's also like really distressed here at this bottom panel. Along with Mitsuba is also really distressed here along with the other Higashikatas.
Mm-hmm.
This is the moment where we subtly are told that Joshu kicked the phone over.
Yeah.
That got me. That's very exciting developments.
Mm. Like I think I mentioned it before, but I think it's going to come down to Joshu has to end up picking a side between Josuke and Jobin, and I think that's
Yeah.
going to be the big kind of
You've been saying
like
that since we started this podcast. Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be the huge tipping factor. I feel like because Joshu is introduced against Josuke as basically almost his primary rival, and now it's like, what does he do? Like, who is like really like the person that he could look up to and stand by with, and all this other kind of stuff. Like,
I've known from the start that Joshi
yeah.
would become like a secondary JoJo to this part, and that
Mhm.
is really shaping up. The stars are aligning, and it's going to be glorious. This man tried to do bad things to Yasuo, but you know that's the beauty of JoJo's. The beauty of JoJo's, and I truly believe this. Like the best thing about JoJo's is how everyone can become a hero at some
Mhm.
point of the story when the chips are down. Even the
Yeah.
most unlikely of people, and we're about to see a very good example of that.
Yeah, Joshi kicking over the phone though. But then like what ends up happening is like there's this sense that Jobin stands up and is just like I'm just gonna be forceful about this the entire time. Like it's that one instance of resistance and he's done. Like he can't have it. As
I,
soon as
I see it more like he's like, well, Crazy Park got away. I have to go finish the job. That's how I read
oh
these.
I saw it like he's looking at because he's turning he's looking at the group and the whole group is like huddled together now
Hmm.
and they're scared of him and he's just I don't know like that's
They're scared of him, and I feel like this bottom right panel. Joe's talking about pages.
uh
The
it doesn't tell me
pages. God, I wish this show 36 and 37, where at the bottom
35.
right, the look that Joshu has here is a look of what's the word? It's like regret but determination fused into one.
Mhm.
Where he's like,
Yeah.
"This is the road I have to follow, and I am not enjoying this right now, but I'm going to
Yeah.
do it." That's the kind of vibe. We end with Yasuo making a call. She's kind of crawling towards the head doctor, who's just been here vibing. Like,
Yeah.
what is his deal?
Oh, so we'll have to get back to that. Like, so after that, Mitsuba has this weird breakdown, basically,
She's
and
been
it's like,
having it all chapter. This idea of the
yeah.
calamity since the last chapter, actually.
Hmm. And the calamity's attack is an attack on me and those around me, my children, my husband, and those and the whole Higasakata family have been caught up in it. Even Josuke-kun, Yasuo-kan, San, and those around them. The enemy is the head doctor. Whenever I see the figure of the head doctor, a disaster comes to collide into me, and Yasuo-san went outside the house. So what's interesting here is that she says the head doctor is the enemy, so she's still deterred, like thinking that that's their primary antagonist in all of this.
It's like in her mind, and I think this is a really good show of cognitive dissonance. In her
Mhm.
mind, everything that just happened, even her husband showing these horrible colors, is a calamity right now. It's like to
Yeah.
cope with
Okay.
it, she has to think that all these bad things are all part of this one villain. But the thing is, after that villain is taken out, like reality is gonna hit her, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, this is just life. Jobin is a villain right now, and
Yeah.
then she'll realize, and then maybe we'll get her heel to face turn.
Yeah. Face to heel to heel to face.
Yeah, all these turns. Do you think this is accurate? Now that I think about it, like, has the entire endless calamity been a stand that's attacking Mitsuba?
But why would it though? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, she has seen the head doctor's true
But
face
but
in the past.
really this whole calamity started when Josuke and Mamazu and Rai started taking going after him. That's when this
But
whole thing started.
by her estimation, that is an extension of the attack on her. And it's like, it's hard to tell if this is word of God or if
Yeah.
this is her own fears and this is just a really good character moment. And I guess
I
we'll have
think
to see. Like, this is a
yeah.
stand that we still, much to Joe's dismay, we still don't have the full answer. Which is what you said last time. You were like, we need the answer next chapter. And then 2 months pass.
I just It's true. It's getting to a point where like we need a more hard, because at this point, like, oh, so here's the weird thing about this final page here for Mitzvah. I mean, the page before Mitzvah is the head doctor stand up and he's just looking at the wall, right?
Yeah, if you look at it again, he's just literally looking at a wall,
Yeah,
like an inch away from it. That is not normal human behavior.
right. So it's like, so, and he moved when Yasuo moved.
Let's see. Yeah, man,
So
there's so much
he,
going on in these arcs. Like, it's gonna be really good to reread once we have the full answer, I think.
so he so when we see Yasuo for the first time outside, he's sitting on the car and he's just standing there with his back turned and he's looking at the direction of where that wall is, right?
Hmm.
He's not moving. Yasuo is just sitting there dying.
Which
Literally
page
dying.
was? Yeah, okay, yeah, he's sitting on it.
Right. Page 9 and 10.
Yeah.
And then but then finally when Yasuo is able to move again, he starts moving away from her. So what part of the stand is like it's basically projection from you that you can never catch. Because
Yeah.
I
It's
it's back up to the 89-year-old part where they're trying to catch him and he's just too fast for as fast as
mhm.
he's moving.
Even though
Because
they look at the security fam footage and they're like, "Oh, he's just moving at normal speed. How is this happening?"
yeah,
So he's like an inverted Silver Chariot Requiem, which should be a red alarm for me because that's my least favorite fight in
yeah.
JoJo's. But
I was gonna
um,
say like a green baby, where like when you get
yeah,
closer, you
yeah.
and so like
I don't know. Is he moving away? It just seems like he sat up. We don't know exactly what he's doing right now because he went from sitting to standing. And we're gonna have to find out next month. What if is he gonna take a step to the left or the right? Because like
yeah,
that is all sorts of mysteries. I think this head doctor thing is being dragged down so long that there is something like serious going on here. Like
yeah.
it's going to be. It's been such a long mystery to where it can only have a good payoff if Araki's doing his job. Like it's going to be a reveal that you can look back at all of this and be like, "Wow, that is
But
really
the
interesting."
thing that doesn't make sense is Josuke and Ryan in the car and getting attacked by the rain.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. The stand is so mysterious.
I was talking to Willer about this, and like we watched the video. I ended up watching that video.
Aeon Stars video. Shout outs.
Yeah. Um, and so his big theory is that Toru is the head doctor, and that the head doctor is an illusion that he's creating. But I think that's only half right. I think the head doctor is still a person whose stand is if you try to go after him or have thoughts about him, it causes a calamity on you. But Toru teams up with him and is able to like pick people that he's seen or interacted with and put that image in their head. Because he had,
Oh,
so it's
that's
like, oh,
interesting.
I see the head doctor.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and then you try to chase after him because if you think about it, there's also the scene with Toru where he conjures up the head like Toru's sitting there
And then he
talking to
points
him.
out to a direction, and the head doctor's there.
Yeah, right. So then, as they're chasing after him, he can project the image where like
Which
it
makes
stays
you chase him, which activates automatically the
right,
like
the stand.
Satoru Akefu stand.
Right.
I really like this because this projection theory, I like the part of it that relates to Toru's character, where it's like the head doctor is a successful doctor who is Toru's chance to do something amazing with life with the Rokakakakaka,
Right.
Kakakakaka, and
Lokakaka.
Lokakakaka, and but the thing with that is like I've never liked this idea that it's a full illusion because this man is a well-known doctor who goes to goddamn school lectures and shit. Like
Yeah.
me and Joe consistently make fun of that aspect of that theory because that sort of theory has revolved around for a while. But this
Mhm.
idea that and it totally makes sense. We've seen his face. He was giving a lecture. That was the real Satoru Akefu, real
Right.
head doctor. But
Like
the
it's it doesn't make sense to me that Toru. I mean, Toru could come out and just be a fucking genius, and maybe he's a rock person that just happens to like know everything.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense with the character we've been shown. But like, if he's projecting this image, that makes a lot more sense and allows Akefu to basically do whatever he wants, and then Toru just needs to keep an eye because, and also like,
Kefu might not even know that these
yeah,
fights are happening revolving him. Like, if
right,
your theory is right, he's like, wait,
yeah.
what?
So
Josuke, we're fighting right now?
here's the other thing that backs that up, where like Toru needs to interact with a person to put that like stand image in their brain and to
Hmm.
project it for them. But it also gets, but the, also the camera kind of counteracts it. But Jobin wasn't able to see the head doctor.
That's true. Last chapter we brought that up, and we never got a answer.
Yeah,
And he's been pretty nonchalant lately.
yeah, and like it literally was just like
Fuck.
Yasuo saw him, Mitsuba saw him, and Jobin looked out and was like,
Tsurugi
"What
saw
the hell are
him.
you doing?" And Tsurugi saw him.
Oh my god. But wait, when did Toru get a chance to interact with Mitsuba? Maybe just all the time she's gone to the hospital?
Yeah, and like took Tsurugi with her or whatever, because
Yeah, Tsurugi is kind of the weird part there.
yeah,
Notably, though, this also explains the situation where the head doctor was walking around the school. That was the real head doctor.
maybe.
I think
So
he
here's
was. It was the real head
so
doctor just taking a walk.
so
Meanwhile,
here's another
Toru was doing his projection shit.
yeah, here's the other dumb thing is that he can make the projection also go into like television screens because what
What in the world? Copyright struck. Anyways, I think a
so
stream that I had muted turned like on or something.
yeah. So remember Mitsuba is the one that looks at the school footage and sees the head doctor. And she's the only one that points him out in the whole footage thing. No one else points him out when they're looking at it.
In those pages, is it implied they can't see him?
I don't know. I would have
We
to
would
look
have to
again.
reread. Oh man, I guess I have to reread all of JoJo.
Like if he can project it, like you it puts in your brain that he's there, even when you're rewatching the image again.
Yeah.
Because
See if let's go down this road of your theory. I'm still thinking the person at the school is the real head doctor.
yeah, no, I agree on that. The person giving the speech and everything, that's
The-
the real head doctor.
I'm gonna say the speech, the person at the school, and the person walking to their car that Josuke was and Rai were chasing, but at the same time they were also seeing the illusion because Toru was there. So it was like a scenario where
Also, here's another thing: the head doctor gets on a bus.
yes.
Why would a head doctor that probably has tons of money get on a bus to go to work?
No, it's fine. That's
But the-
fine.
That's fine.
He's
but the
old.
car-
He's 89 years old for God's sake.
I don't know. He's pretty spry.
Uh, he's pretty poppin'. Huh.
But like, it's just I don't know.
But why would Toru be antagonizing Yasuo? She can see him right now.
But she's not antagonizing him. It might be just because he has to conjure the image near Mitsuba, and she knows the image exists. She can also see it.
Okay, so it's not a select. It's anyone. So he can't
Anyone-
select a target. Oh, we're getting complex here. So he
Yeah.
can't select a target. Everyone who he's done this to can all simultaneously see him. So that's why Jobin couldn't, because he's the only
Right.
one pretty much out of the current cast and the other Higashikatas who.
Haven't interacted with him at
Mhm.
all. Actually, yeah. And then that's to me like the most logical theory is that there are two stands in work here that's causing them
Right,
to
there's been the two stand theory, but your idea that it's a projection stand, I haven't seen that anywhere.
yeah.
And the fact that it's not a full illusion, and I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see how it all pieces together. Because then also, like, isn't that too close to Tsurugi's evolving abilities? Also, there's Tsurugi's evolving abilities, that's the thing.
Yeah. It may be, but like
Both illusion based?
yeah, it might, but I don't know. Toro fits into this somehow, but I don't.
Duh.
I don't. I don't think he's the head doctor. I don't think he's once again taking office hours. We'll probably be wrong, and I'll probably go, that's pretty fucking dumb. Unless,
We're gonna
all
have
right,
to we have to prepare and explain how like the head doctor is just going about his daily life as a projection, doing surgeries,
mm-hmm.
going to
like,
lectures.
mm-hmm.
That's so weird. I don't like it.
Because
I mean, I'll like it when it's the truth and we get some more context, but right
yeah,
now I don't like it.
because the other thing is too is that Toru would then have to trick literally everybody in the hospital.
Literally everyone. That nurse, like all the nurses, all the receptionists.
Which means that his sand has to do something more than just conjure illusions, or because then at that point the sand has to conjure an illusion, cause the endless calamity, and change people's memories. That's three abilities in one, and they don't feel the same like Killer Queen, where Killer Queen the whole is kit is like a bomb based kit. These don't match up in any way. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. Let's
It's all
well, you got something? Give me
I,
Joe.
I was just gonna say it's all way too convenient. If his one stand can do like, oh, I could just make the perfect scenario. That just completely defeats the point of JoJo's, where you have to try to get your opponent into that perfect
Into the
scenario.
trap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's jump back to Sarugi.
Mm-hmm.
In roughly an hour, Sarugi's gonna be fine. He's
Sarugi's
gonna be
okay.
dragging a corpse, and the
Uh-huh.
Higashikata family is literally dicking around. Joshu is licking his sisters from a distance.
Yeah. So
So
that also means two other things. Oh, I guess one other thing, but Jobin and Mitsuba have to be out of the picture for some reason, doing something else.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because what else could they be doing if they have to get Tsurugi to drag this fucking corpse? Because I don't think Jobin would let Tsurugi do that unless
So here's
he.
my theory. First of all, we all need to acknowledge the fact that we've been played, and
Yeah.
Araki is doing some Oda level shit right now. We're
Mhm.
reading the One Piece of JoJo right now
Yeah.
because in that chapter with the flash forward, we actually got a part where we get to see the chess pieces on a board,
Mm-hmm.
and Araki remembered California King Bed. So the theory is Jobin forced Daya to steal everyone's memories, potentially even herself, through
Yeah.
fear, which I could totally see how that would play out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tsurugi must still remember for
Right.
reasons. Leave the child alone. I
Mm-hmm.
think Jobin's out of the house and Mitsuba's out of the house. Maybe they're like killing Josuke as we speak, right? Or
Right.
something.
Something. But like there has to be a catalyst because otherwise why would you leave unless you can just sit there and wait for them to come home and kill them? You know? That's a better trap to.
I think this theory is contingent that Tsurugi is no longer having a seizure after 2 hours, which I
Yeah.
don't know how we get there. But
Mhm.
what if Tsurugi is dragging Norisuke's body to the hole so he can do the sacrifice himself, which saves the fruits? Like now they have both fruits because it looks like it's blooming two fruits
Yeah.
to use, and then we get to see where that goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he's dragging this body, like, what is he? He's not disposing of the body, I don't think. I feel like he's doing something with it. Which he could be doing the ritual to himself. But if he's doing the ritual to himself, it means that it still needs to be done, which means he hasn't been cured, which doesn't explain why he's not having a seizure. So I don't know how much my
Well,
theory holds up.
could be also Tsurugi thinks that if he does the ritual, he can bring Norisuke back to life.
Yeah,
But
I don't.
but I don't.
We have nothing to lead us to that path. I don't think.
Yeah, and it's
That line of thinking.
because I don't know. Like it's just weird because thinking about because previously we could extrapolate that something happened while everyone was out of the house. Like there was a stand attack. Tsurugi and Norisuke fended them off, and Tsurugi has to take care of Norisuke somehow or whatever.
Or
Now it's
I thought Joshu killed Norisuke and
Joshu. You mean Jobin?
Jobin killed Norisuke and Tsurugi was covering for the family, which it's we're close to that. I think that's
Yeah.
definitely a possibility right now. It just
But it just
so many
to
questions.
me that it just seems out of character to have maybe I'm too wrong, but like for Jobin to not try to like take care of this himself.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
And like, Mitsuba can like probably be freaking out and not be able to move the corpse for whatever reason. I can buy that. Like she's having a
Definitely. I mean, Mitsuba's having a moment. She's been having a moment. So yeah, that
yeah.
totally lines up.
But like to me, Jobin, because Jobin's even like doing it right now. Like he's wrapping up the body and preparing to move it to wherever it needs to go to.
He was stopped to go finish off. Okay, okay. He
Yeah.
stopped to go finish off
Uh, chase-
Yasuo.
oh, he goes and chases after Yasuo.
So maybe she gets in the car,
Hmm.
has to drive off. He has to chase her, but then who would have talked the family into using California King bed?
Well, it could be that he has to stop and forces them to do California King Bed, which gets Yasuo at the time. Well, no, remember one thing: Yasuo is making a phone call,
Yeah,
so it could also be a person comes here and Jobin's fighting them while Saruki's moving the body.
like outside.
Yeah,
Oh my god, this can go so many places, and I'm so excited to see where it goes. But
because I mean, the only
all
person I
of
can
these sound
imagine,
cool.
yeah, the only person I imagine she calls is either Rai or Josuke.
Yeah, I mean those
And
are her
Josuke,
two allies.
right? And I mean, who
Unless
else
she's
is
like
there?
Toru, come rescue me, like just be my
Oh,
ride.
that could be another one
Like
too.
yeah, like she's not. You don't have to fight, but please just drive me away or something.
Hmm. That would
Which
line up because Toru's been hanging out with Yasuo a lot and
yeah.
everything. Uh,
What? But there's this whole thing also that Toru touches Yasuo and it feels like he's doing something to her.
yeah,
Implanting. Maybe it's like an implantation of memories, and what they're seeing now is a previously implanted memory or something. I don't know. Oh my god, what am I saying?
you're gonna just give Toru more power.
Yeah, just give him everything.
He does office hours. Why didn't you give him more?
Oh man, JoJo. Just
Yasuo lost an arm.
yeah, it's
Can you
gone.
believe that?
We don't have a
Are
healer this part. Well, Joshu could go out there and bolt her arm
reattach
together.
it? I guess.
That's the only way. I
But
don't think if Rai wrapped it up, it would do any good.
our two primary main characters have had drastic physical changes to them.
Yeah, it's rad.
Yeah, and second chapter without no Josuke was in the last chapter, right? We gave him for a bit
Yeah.
with his mafia seat.
That's another thing. That happened the day previous, so
Hmm.
Josuke's somewhere right now, not in that seat, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I guess technically because it happened a day ago, you can that could be the actual Akefu doing that. But it just I don't know the
The
fact that he's
real
like
Akefu could be dead, but then what's causing the calamity? I don't know.
yeah,
Josuke's punched someone out. Like
but Josuke's on something.
Josuke's brained someone at this point. But so our original theory there was that Josuke was reaching out to Dolomite. That's the theory we like the most.
Yeah, what if
What if Dolomite crawls in next chapter around the corner? He's like, "What's up, bitches?"
what if Josuke sent a package to Akefu that gave him the indication of where he needs to go to get the fruit? But that doesn't make sense because he knows where Mitsuba lives.
He doesn't know where the Josuke doesn't know where the fruit is for sure.
That's true.
He didn't listen. Like Yasuo knew, but he was like, "We got to take care of the head doctor first." It
Yeah.
was like his crucial mistake, really.
Hmm.
Not that he was wrong. The head doctor does need to be dealt with, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. I just
these things are very exciting and very worrying because it's like, oh my god, so far Araki hasn't dropped the ball, but
because
but I feel
you
like
could
he's juggling more balls to drop. But what if
yeah
he doesn't drop them, Joe? What if it all lands? It's gonna blow
because
my fucking dick.
compared to the steel ball run where we're just on a train and we know we have to just get to Valentine at the front of the car.
Yeah, it was
Like
a lot more linear.
yeah, this is like I have to think about so many different pieces in different places. And Rye's at the police station
Yeah, just chilling.
doing just chilling. He probably turned to a spaghetti monster and slipped his way out.
He's super dead. Yeah, he did. Ew.
I just I don't know, man. It's a good time to be reading JoJo's.
It really is in these trying times.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Wow, we went long, but it's just so
Did
fun to
we?
talk about.
It was only about 40
It's
minutes.
55 minutes.
Was it really? I thought we
Yeah.
started at 10:30.
Nah, homie. I
Oh,
got you earlier.
okay.
With that note, catch us next time in Untitled JoJo show.
Freaking you, Cass. Mario Radio.
Round Roundion.
Round round. Wow.
All right. Bye bye.